Welcome back to Politics Tonight. All eyes are now on Anambra State as the state heads to the polls in a high-stakes governorship election. Today we delve into the key issues shaping this election: the candidates, the manifestos, the role of INEC, the influence of security, and the expectations of the people. What's at stake? What are the hopes of India Anambra? Joining me tonight is Dr. Law Mefo, Commissioner for Information, Anambra State. Good evening, Honorable. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Yeah, thank you for hosting me.
Thank you.
Good evening, Nigerians.
Good evening to you. So your party is insisting that Professor Charles Soludo has no credible opposition in the state ahead of November governorship election. And I wonder what members of ABGA mean when they say Professor Soludo has silenced the opposition with his development works in the state. But as a member of the cabinet, how does this administration plan to convince voters that it deserves another term in Anambra State?
Thank you for that question. I think those who say and believe that Governor Soludo has no rivals in this governorship election, I think they're largely right. The last two Saturday by-elections proved it. And in research, in social science research, you rely on a sample to use the outcome to extrapolate to the entire population. Like every other state, Anambra is broken into 3 senatorial districts, and there was an off-season by-election at or in Anambra South Senatorial District to replace my late friend, Senator Ifeanyi. That's one out of the 3 senatorial districts in Anambra State, and the outcome proved beyond a reasonable doubt that ABGA is fully on ground. In well over 1,000 polling units, ABGA won nearly in all, losing about 10 out of 1,000 plus. So you can see that. ABGA won in the 117 wards, won in the 7 local government areas. And it's just clear that ABGA is on ground. In fact, in Anambra, ABGA is a more or less a movement. It's not just a political party, it's a movement. And some say even a religion. ABGA is Anambra, and Anambra is ABGA. That said,
Fantastic.
You know, an incumbent that is running for re-election naturally will have to run on the strength of his performance. And that is what we have Soludo confronting at the moment. Soludo is simply showing the Anambra his scorecard, asking them to evaluate the scorecard by themselves and renew his mandate because he has done fantastically well. In fact, if you have seen the People's Manifesto, the Soludo Solution Manifesto with which he ran for governorship in 2021, you will see that he has actually gone beyond his promises. He has fulfilled practically everything he promised the people, and he has gone further to do even more, because I know that he did not. Soludo did not promise free education. He didn't promise free antenatal, free delivery. He didn't promise so many things he's doing now. What I mean is that he has done what he promised. He has gone beyond what he promised. He is doing more. And what is more, again, is that he's doing all this.
All right, let's stay on the promises, Honorable Commissioner, because apart from the power of diplomacy, which plays a huge role in electoral victory in this part of the world, I want you to talk to us about 2 specific achievements of this current administration that the party will use to campaign for continuity. Because talking about promises, one of the promises Professor Soludo made to his people is to transform Anambra State into an industrialized and economically prosperous state. Are we there yet?
Not yet, but the foundations are fully laid. And yes, Soludo talks about Anambra being transformed into Africa, Dubai, Taiwan, Silicon Valley, ADTS. Yes, the foundations, you need to build, lay solid foundations before you begin to erect the building. He has done the foundational works in the areas of infrastructure, human capital development, and really transforming the state. Let me look at the infrastructure transformation of the state. Look at roads, for example. Before Soludo came in, we had practically no roads left in Anambra. They were all totally dilapidated. But today, within 3 years and 6 months, he has delivered over 600 kilometers of roads already asphalted and awarded over 800. And out of these roads, there is what we call the Anambra Beltway. It is connecting Anambra by road network, particularly road networks that are dual carriageways. We have about 5 dual carriageways ongoing, 2 or 3 of them nearly completed. The Beltway, that means that you can connect Anambra from one point, say from Oka through Onitsha to Newi to here and there and back to Oka again, following the dual carriageways. It's Soludo that initiated it. He was the one that awarded the contracts, and the roads are nearing completion. And it's not only that. When you talk about Anambra as a possible Dubai, Dubai is a commercial and logistic hub. That is what Anambra is turning out to be. Because if you come to a place like Oka, the state capital, Oka is becoming a truly state capital with a befitting capital government house. Before now, we didn't have a government house. What we used before now was a makeshift structure, and the governor's lodge was even outside Oka itself. But now, after 34 years of Anambra's creation, the governor of Anambra State has now, delivered the state of the art.
Let me come in here, Prof. Honorable Commissioner, and this is because of, because of who Professor Soludo is. Many are wondering, why are we still struggling with changing the narrative when it comes to the economy of the states? Because as we speak, many graduates and skilled youths remain jobless. And I mean, you also know that lack of industrial expansion means limited formal employment opportunities. Issues such as kidnapping and activities by unknown gunmen affect business confidence and, deter investors. A large chunk of the state's economy is informal, which, in every way limits government revenue and long-term economic planning, which Prof laid before us when he assumed office. Another challenge is lack of proper business registration and tax compliance in this sector, expressly which reduces IGR. And, most development efforts are focused on cities like Oka, Onitsha, and Newi, which you have mentioned, leaving rural communities economically stagnant. Anambra is blessed to have Governor Soludo, who is a renowned expert in macroeconomics and has worked with several international organizations, IMF, World Bank. So do you fault those who say Anambra should have moved a notch higher than where it is economically?
I don't think so. You brought in so many things into your question, and I don't even know where to start now.
Start from anywhere.
See, Soludo is running. Just wait a minute. Let me try to address one or two things for you to know that where we are, going by the situation on ground by the time Soludo took over government in Anambra State. Were it not for his dexterity and the political sagacity and the prudential economic management, Anambra wouldn't be able to register the progress that he has registered at the moment. Let me start with the issue of security, because security needed to be tackled head-on and fully restored before you can really advance properly and seriously in terms of economic development. By the time Soludo came in 2022, March 17th, 8 local government areas in Anambra State were under siege. In fact, by the time he was running for governorship, he came under attack. 2 or 3 policemen were killed in his, his campaign train, and many more other interventions. His father was kidnapped and all that. But if you take between then and now, you will see that Anambra has recovered almost fully when it comes to issue of security restoration. For example, the continuous voter registration by INEC, the 326 political wards in Anambra State participated in it. Before then, particularly when Soludo was running for election in 2021, before he came in 2022, many of these communities, particularly in Anambra South, election could not hold in those places. That is, the fact that you could have continuous voter registration exercise in the 326 wards in Anambra is an evidence of a recovery in terms of security. And of course, the last 2 Saturdays by-election also witnessed a full participation by the entire Anambra South Senatorial District. What this means is that we have almost fully recovered the Anambra in terms of security. And when you talked about the rural areas being left out in Soludo's administration, it is not true. That's the narrative being sold by people who are scratching around to see what to hold on to. There is no place, there is no community in Anambra State that is left out. In fact, one of the characteristics of Soludo's administration is his ability to bring in what you can call inclusive governance. That means that nobody is left behind. In fact, there are places never seen a kilometer of tarred road. Most of them now have roads, access roads.
All right, then, Honorable Commissioner, let me bring in other issues. Many are worried about this and the increasing rate of baby factories in Anambra State. I mean, there are so many so-called hospitals found to be operating with a falsified license, and these hospitals are owned by several self-proclaimed medical doctors in the state. And recently, Senator Shehu Sani asked Mr. Governor to look into this. He asked him to be firm and take a stand against this menace. And many residents are concerned, even those who do not live in Anambra State. So what concrete steps has the state government taken to dismantle these syndicates and, prevent new ones from emerging?
Yeah, well, yes, there are cases of that reported in the past, but the way you presented it, makes it appear as if it's so prevalent. No, it is not. It cannot be. Anambra cannot be said to be the capital of baby factories in Nigeria. No, Anambra is not. And the government of Soludo is firmly up against it. We are hunting them down. In fact, at one of the executive council meetings, a resolution was passed to go after even the premises where such actions may be taking place. Those places are being researched, and anyone we see will be sealed, and the building brought down, and the premises confiscated by government. This is one measure that is in place, and the other measures are surveillance, and of course we are encouraging our people to keep exposing such things wherever they may be seen.
But are there any laws? Are there any laws or policies currently being reviewed or implemented to tighten regulation around private maternity homes and orphanages?
The existing laws are sufficient to really deal with that. It's the implementation that we should be talking about. There are laws. You can be sure that there are laws, and it's to implement those laws. And when we come to any realization that there is need for fresh laws, you can be sure they will be enacted. And the existing ones can also be amended. But for now, we think we have enough laws, and we are implementing them.
All right. Let's talk about other issues. Just like I said to Barrister Sly the other day, the security of lives and property is, the first constitutional obligation of any government. APC is saying no investor would risk investing in a state where security is not guaranteed, which is why many of their people are hesitant to come home and invest. They're saying the current situation in Anambra is alarming and demands urgent action. The African Action Congress is saying the security situation has sunk to such depth that many are living in fear. As a cabinet member, how do you feel when we hear concerned stakeholders and sons of Anambra State say Governor Soludo is sleeping on duty when it comes to security matters in Anambra State.
Yeah, but as a journalist, I don't think you should be saying that Soludo is sleeping on duty.
I'm not the one saying it. I said, how do you feel? Can you hold on, Honorable Commissioner? How do you feel when you hear them say these things? Those are not my words.
1 minute. No, wait a minute. You know, it's important we situate these things, right? I know we don't have all the time in the world, but first and foremost, the security architecture put in place by Governor Soludo February of this year is incomparable, it's peerless. And it starts with the legal and the governance framework, the Anambra State Security Law 2025. That was what created the Agune Chamber and Operation Udogachi that restored security to Anambra to the point that in the 326 wards in Anambra State, continuous voter registration exercise took place. And in the 70 communities in Anambra South, during the off-season election, they all participated to the commendation of even INEC. So it is not correct to say that Anambra is bedeviled by insecurity. Yes, we still have pockets of security challenges. It's not yet Uhuru, but no sincere person would say that Anambra is not on the trajectory of recovering its lost status as the safest state in Nigeria. When you hear Action Congress or any other political party talk about insecurity in Anambra, they are saying so simply because it's something they think they can revive. They can revive and use it as a point of entry to make their participation in the governorship election meaningful and worth the while. That's just the simple truth. Because initially they were saying that Soludo was not performing, but when the records started emerging to show that Soludo has even gone beyond his manifesto, they are now going back to revive the issue of insecurity. Insecurity is not as alarming as such people make it to be. They are campaigning all over Anambra State. If insecurity is that damning in Anambra, how come they find the space to campaign? Even in Anambra South, that was before now adjudged to be the most security challenged. Like I said, yes, I admit it is not yet Uhuru, but we have almost recovered every inch of the Anambra State. Now, where it comes to investment, I will just mention one or two. You can Google Oka Shopping Mall. Oka Shopping Mall is a multi-billion naira investment. It's based on a PPPP. It means that it's actually driven, it's an investment that is driven by a private individual. And you have other companies that are established in Anambra under Soludo's watch. These are investments, multi-billion naira investments. So when somebody that is campaigning in Anambra is telling you that there is insecurity, Anambra is a no-go zone, and he's campaigning all over Anambra State while saying so, something is added up there. It's quite is flowing from his chief. That is the truth.
Commissioner, we'll continue that conversation some other time. But quickly, before I let you go tonight, Honorable Commissioner, we'll continue that conversation some other time. But quickly before I let you go, I'm wondering if Governor Soludo has been briefed on this current tensions in the House of Assembly. Honorable Bernard Udemeze has been suspended for 3 months without pay for alleged unparliamentary conduct, inciting comments on social media and abuse of legislative privileges. But he claims to have been victimized for exposing corruption in the Assembly. Has Mr. Governor been briefed?
Well, I'm not the one that should brief the governor on that. But I have read about Honorable Bernard. I have followed his rants, and I find his conduct a bit unbecoming of somebody that should go by the name Honorable. Many of the things he is saying about the House, he participated in before he now, because he fell out of favor and stuff. I am not saying that he is telling the truth or not telling the truth. I don't know. I don't belong to the legislature, this is a presidential democracy. You have three arms. I belong to the executive. And so does the governor of the state. The speaker is in charge of the legislative arm of government. If he thinks it is necessary to brief the governor, he would. And but I don't see how that even concerns or bothers the governor. The young man is being contained by his colleagues. He is making very wild claims, claims that are libelous, claims that are derogatory and defamatory. You know, claims that if he has proper legal advice and guidance, he would not be making such claims. And I don't want to begin to recount some of the things he has said. But I tell you that he belongs to a different arm of government. They are dealing with him and his claims there. The governor and the executive arm will become concerned when he becomes.
Thank you very much for speaking with us. Sadly, we're out of time, but I'm sure we'll continue this conversation some other time. Thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner for Information, Anambra State, Dr. Leo Mefo. Thank you so much for your time. Please have a great weekend.
Always.
And thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at 12:30 a.m. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News NG. I'm Olajumoke. Good night, everyone. Have a great weekend.